Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy that's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of Street Fighter Flashbacks. In celebration of the 30-year anniversary of Street Fighter, I'm taking it upon myself to share my memories of playing the arcade and home console games at that moment in time and give reviews of other Street Fighter related media. And I am actually doing my first AA in my Street Fighter flashback. That is adaptation application. So for those that forgot, basically, my adaptation application is where I share my feelings on how well an already established or original story has been translated into a new or an updated medium. And I already reviewed the Street Fighter movie, so I'm going to give my thoughts on how well the video game translated into the 1994 Street Fighter movie. Well, this is a bit interesting because we now have an actual story of the Street Fighter franchise in the video games. But that really wasn't the case back in the early 90s, when Street Fighter 2 came on the screen and by the time the movie came out. So it was pretty interesting how a video game, unlike the previous two video game movies that were made, one video game really didn't have a centralized plot. More along Street Fighter, each of the characters had their own motivations and their own storylines, but it wasn't an overall story arc. So people in Hollywood actually had an opportunity to try to establish something. Well, how well did they do? Well, first, let's go with what the character motivations were. Now, in the video game, basically, the lead character, Dillon, he was just basically, a martial artist that's always training, always looking for a new challenge, You had Ken, who was Dillon's former sparring partner. They trained together and everything, and they're both equal rivals. And so Ken and Dillon have this little rivalry, and in Ken's ending, you see that he finally gets married. All right? Chun-Li wanted to avenge her father's death at the hands of Vega. Meanwhile, Guile wanted to avenge his friend Nash's death at the hands of Vega. Wait a minute. And Vega's the main antagonist. Oh, that's the story right there. Focus on Vega being the main antagonist and everything, and then build it around that. But since it's the American version, they changed Vega's name into M. Bison. So the movie is basically based on, the idea of all these fighters going up against M. Bison. But what makes M. Bison evil and everything? I know, he's a dictator. Yeah, and everything. So that's the plot right there of the movie. Basically, the movie's plot is M. Bison is an evil dictator that has an organization called Shadow Law, and basically Shadowloo is a dictator, Shadowloo, and Shadowloo is in a civil war. So that's the plot of the movie. But here's the thing: as loose as the video game is, here there's no mention of a civil war or a war. The closest thing that you have a war is an airman who's participating in the tournament. Which, by the way, that's the thing. There isn't a tournament in this movie. So basically, you have a video game that doesn't have an established storyline, right? So you could take creative liberties to make a storyline, but you forget the fundamental part of the video game, that it is an actual fighting tournament. Oh boy. So yeah, this this movie loses points on that big time. Let's talk about the characters. So in the video game, the lead character is martial artist Dillon, who is famous for defeating the Emperor of Muay Thai, Sagat. The lead character in this movie is Guile, the military person. Okay. Drop the ball right there, too. Oh, and by the way, Sagat is actually, he is a retired fighter, which is good. They got that in. But he's also an arms dealer. Did anywhere in the video game make it look like Sagat was like, a criminal underlord? I mean, yes, he was part of the four kings of Shadowloo, don't get me wrong, as well as 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 Vega's main bodyguard, but, well, I gotta say Bison because it's the American version, as Bison's main bodyguard, but nothing appeared arms dealer and everything. And by the way, they having it that basically Dew and Ken are meeting Sagat, for a business transaction. Wait. So Dew and Ken are also criminals in this. Wow. Really dropping the ball right there and everything. But hey, we got Vega and everything. Sagat's henchman. Wow. This adaptation really missed the mark on the characters. Ooh, boy. Okay, so missing the mark on the characters. Now, I didn't get to all the characters, especially since I didn't get to Chun-Li, who is a prominent person in this movie, but instead of her being like, a cop or anything, they're making her a reporter. There is a straight, there is taking creative liberties, and then there's just completely butt-fucking all the characters and everything. Creative liberties is fine, but missing the sole essence of the characters and everything, and like I said, Street Fighter 2 did not have a plot. All it was a fighting tournament, which each of their characters having their own motivations, but you're missing the things that make each of these characters stand out. Yes, Chun-Li wanted revenge for her father's death, where Bison destroyed the farming village. They say that in the movie and everything, instead of Chun-Li's father being killed by Bison, right? They have that basically, Guile's friend, Charlie and everything, whom, by the way, they turn into Blanca, which makes no sense at all and everything, but, they're making that Guile's motivation, but, there's still certain character tropes that you're supposed to have. Well, they do have them. Like, Guile does the flash kick. Bison flies through the air, ramming somebody. Dew does the Hadouken and the Hurricane kick. Ken does the Shoryuken. Vega does the rolling claw move. Oh, Jesus Christ. And I didn't even get it. I didn't even get into E Honda being Hawaiian, where he's clearly Japanese in the game. Oh, God. All right. Basically, the character representations are terrible in this. All right? Is there anything good about this adaptation? Actually, yes, there is. They actually got, when they actually poured in some of the character concepts, they actually did a okay job. For example, I earlier mentioned that Chun-Li wanted revenge for her father's death. I also mentioned Guile wanting to, rescue and avenge his friend Charlie and everything, and rescue his friend Charlie. They actually had the differences of Dew and Ken, where Ken is womanizing and undisciplined, and Dew is more grounded and mature, and basically realizing that, he's drafted from the lessons their master taught them. They got that pretty good. That's the best thing they got and everything. They changed Balrog the boxer into a good guy and everything. Okay, I'll buy that. I still prefer like the original Japanese version, but okay, I buy that. You have the, you know, and instead, actually, and what they also did was they had DJ working for Bison. Okay, bit of a character swap and everything. I'll buy that, you know. But all in all, this adaptation is trash. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below, give me a like, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Talking Dave, the dorky token black guy that's just trying to get by, and I'll catch you guys later.